What up, traders? What up, investors? Ken here from the Dyslexic Investor, and we're going to be looking at all the folks that got sadly, wouldn't say hoodwinked, but got faked out in the overall news from Nikola with the partner with GM. And we're just going to kind of look at the technical side of things. We're not going to be diving into the fundamentals and what actually happened and what was promised and the 11% that GM got for basically doing next to nothing, and they could potentially start selling their shares at any time. So they got basically somewhat of free $2 billion that they can just liquidate on the market. But there's a lot of other YouTubers and a lot of other articles that go into a great amount of detail. And there's actually one article that was quite very, very bearish on Nikola and overall the CEO or the chairman, whoever it is, Trevor Milton, on the Heisenberg report. Again, I'm not a a journalist in that sense, but I am an investor. So check it out. I can put a link in the description down below if I'm able to find it. If not, I think I have it linked on the Discord. That being said, before we get started and looking at the charts, if you're interested in joining the Patreon page, there's a link down below, and as well as the YouTube join button next to the subscribe button if you want to support the channel. Greatly appreciate that. And let's go ahead and get started looking at Nikola. As you know, Nikola had that announcement on GM opening up that day, bracketing higher, hitting that potential band at $53.96 we talked about for a potential overhead support. Really thought that potentially that could keep that movement going higher. But again, once people start digging into what the overall agreement was, it wasn't looking pretty. After that, you had an enormous amount of short sellers and just people just really just pooping on the company, lack of a better word, and it just continued down from basically we have a move from this high all the way down to the low of today of about 43.58%. And we're down nearly 40% from that high as of right now. That's pretty steep decline in a very short 3-period time frame. Like again, and this is, again, we're looking like for potentially a support level here around $30. Again, that's where the 200 EMA kind of falls into. We've seen this level kind of hold on very steep down days, even though that we're seeing a really strong push to the downside right now. This could potentially hold here, but looking for that next potential target below 30, around $26 to $27 to the downside. And how do we get to those prices? We can do a Fibonacci retracement here. So we do from this swing high, so the swing low to the high, and you're seeing some potential targets again. That's really bouncing off that 38.2% where it kind of failed here. So this is how the Fibonacci sequence kind of works. Is basically it moved up, failed at that 38.2 to the retracements there, but then on the retracement to the downside, it's hitting that 29.93 potentially to the downside. Again, there's been a lot of damage done to this stock, so it's going to take a little bit to kind of get back into the swing of things. Will I be buying this in long term and holding it? No, that's just not my cup of tea. I'm a long-term shareholder in Tesla, so enough said there. So that's my honest opinion there. I'm not trying to pump and dump this in any way. But again, next initial support is going to be to the downside. It's going to be to the downside. It's going to be around $22.32, and then from that, it's going to be around $14. To the upside, we're looking for some potential overhead resistance at the $39.34, and then potentially back up to that $44, $45 price target there. But that being said, comparing this to how GM is reacting, it's not the overall reaction of the deal. It's just more or less of like the ongoing people are just super bearish on Nikola, and they can find one little thing, they really just go, they run it rapid. That being said, looking at GM, it's not as steep as down as it has been, but again, it's still somewhat holding a pretty significant trend here. Not a long-term trend, but a very short-term trend, basically the beginning of August here, kind of coming into here, continue moving this trend here on the 21 EMA, trading really in between that 5 and 8 moving averages, and just continue to grind higher, hitting that overhead resistance here around the $30. Again, $30, Nikola's at $30 potentially, Is it connected? Who knows? But if this can hold and those parabolic SERs can stay below it, GM can potentially go to 34, but looking to potentially support to the downside around the $28 to $29 level, even potentially coming down to the 27.05 level if the stock gets really hammered some more and with the overall market. Because again, we're seeing a lot of fluctuation with the overall market, and a lot of people are not quite sure on which way they want to go, if they're going to be bullish, bearish, and it being a Friday, you have to be very careful and skeptical on trying to enter any trade. So for me right now, I'm not trading much of anything and just kind of sitting back on my hands and just waiting to get out and purchase some potential great companies. Again, guys, thank you so much for watching. If you're interested in joining the channel and supporting it directly, we have a Patreon page and that YouTube join button with some great little perks going on there. And we have the Discord down below. Definitely check that out, and I'll catch you guys